I just would really like my dog to not bark right now.
Graeme, just to show you my level of commitment to this process, I before the show started, I had my dog put down.
Oh, awesome. That's very committed.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, whatever. It's your interview.
Look, I'm willing to get up and maybe close the curtain. I think that's as far as I'm willing to go on that one.
Turn it up, swashbucklers! You're listening to Under the Crossbones, episode number 182. My name is Phil Johnson. I am your host for the show and the ship's jobber each and every week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling your friends, visiting sponsors, sending donations, all that cool stuff that you do that helps me keep the old boat afloat. I appreciate it. So here we are, episode number 182. Fun fact about the number 182. The Star of Bombay is a 182-carat sapphire originally from Sri Lanka, and the gem was first acquired by Trabert and Hoffer Incorporated in New York City. It was set into a platinum ring at that time, and in 1935, the ring was bought by Douglas Fairbanks as a gift for his wife Mary Pickford, and when she died in 1979, it was given to the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History, where you can see it to this day. And yeah, there was a pirate connection in there, right? We got some Douglas Fairbanks. Yay, managed it. So if you want to hear more about Douglas Fairbanks and his piratey career, specifically in a movie called The Black Pirate from 1926, go listen to episode number 171. That was an experimental little episode that I did all about The Black Pirate featuring Douglas Fairbanks. That's episode 171. But on today's show, here we are in 182. My guest on the show today is Graeme Bucky, a.k.a. the Buccaneer. And we are going to be talking wrestling today. We've never talked wrestling on this show before. This is going to be fun. I don't know what your relationship with wrestling is. Mine is, I haven't really followed it since the days of Hulk Hogan, I guess. So what's that? Late 80s, I guess, probably right in there. That's about the last time I really followed wrestling. When Captain Lou Albano showed up in the Cyndi Lauper Girls Just Want to Have Fun video, I was like, all right, I think I'm out. I think that's more than I needed out of that. You remember he had the nose chain? That was like wild back then, or like he had a piercing with a rubber band on his face. I don't know. Captain Lou Albano, not Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan just apparently turned into a weird racist idiot on sex tapes or something. I don't know what he's doing anymore. I don't really care either. But today we're going to talk wrestling. We're going to talk indie wrestling in Australia. Getting niche, my friends, getting niche. And it's going to be really fun. We found out that there is a lot of parallels between stand-up comedy, and wrestling. And I appreciate it as a storytelling device, as a very unique form of theater. And so any of you out there that are doing reenactments or, running around dressed in your pirate garb, shooting off black powder cannons and things like that on the weekends at the festivals, I think we can all appreciate a unique storytelling device. And that's what wrestling is. So even if you're not a wrestling fan, I would encourage you to stick around for this interview because you're going to learn some stuff. I learned some stuff, and I think you'll learn to appreciate it as an art form even a little bit more. And we're doing something else kind of new today. Nick Hoffman is going to be sitting in on the interview with me as a co-host, as a co-interviewer. And I thought it would be fun once in a while to bring somebody in to think of questions that I didn't think of and just contribute a different energy to some of the talks here. So that's something that'll be happening periodically as we go on here. And today, Nick Hoffman is sitting in. Nick is also a comedian and a pirate guy. He's you'll find him at the West Coast Pirate Festivals. He did a big pirate museum installation thing back in the day. So Nick is a piratey guy and a comedian. If you want to hear Nick's story, go check out episode 40. Yeah, 40. Way back there, we had Nick on the show to talk about his pirating experience. So if you want to hear Nick's backstory, check out episode 40. But Nick is sitting in with us today to talk to Graeme Bucky, and it's going to be fun. Join us over on the nets, on the interwebs over there. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/underthecrossbones. On Twitter, we're at undercrossbones. And there's no doubt on that. And of course, hit that subscribe button in whatever podcast device thing app you're listening to this on. Just click the subscribe button, and you'll get the new shows every Tuesday morning as soon as they come out. And if you'd like to leave us a review in whatever app you're listening to, iTunes or I'm sorry, not iTunes. It's not iTunes. It's Apple Podcasts now. One of these days, I'll get used to that. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Slacker, Podcast Addict, wherever you're listening. If you want to just leave a little review in there, a nice review, say some nice things, that's always helpful. And I like to read them when I see them. So that's always nice to, boost my ego a little bit. We comedians, we're delicate people, delicate people. You know what? The other thing, I was thinking about professional wrestling this morning because as I was editing this show, and there was a story in my family of my great grandmother on my father's side was a huge wrestling fan, and she always believed that every bit of it was real. She never believed it was a story. She never believed it was made up. Every bit of it was real, but she did not at all believe in the moon landing. Yeah, that was a bridge too far. Moon landing, totally fake. Professional wrestling, totally real. That was my great grandmother, and also alcoholism runs on that side of the family. So you draw the conclusions that you would like to draw there. All the show notes for this episode will be available at underthecrossbones.com/182. If you want to check out my tour dates where I'm going to be telling jokes and singing songs, go to underthecrossbones.com, click on the tour dates button, and that will let you know. I'm off this week. I got a weird week off. But March 28th, I'll be in Modesto, California at the Familia Bistro. Me and Miles Weber that night. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun, and lots of dates coming up after that. So you can hit that tour dates button. Also available there, you can pick up any of my albums or DVDs. My latest comedy special, Pretty from the Back, all that kind of good stuff is over there. If you just click that tour dates button too, links to everything. We're sponsored today by Captain Willie's Wrestling Tights. When you need new wrestling tights, don't get the old school kind. You want kind that don't bunch up and crowd your junk. Well, Captain Willie's Wrestling Tights guaranteed to not crowd your junk. They are made from the finest flesh of your slain enemies so that your future foes will be terrified when they see you coming wearing Willie's Wrestling Tights made of human flesh. That's it. That's Captain Willie's Wrestling Tights. Go get them at Captain Willie's Wrestling Tights. I just made all this up. That's not our sponsor for today. Of course it's not. No, we're sponsored by TeePublic. They do t-shirts, pirate t-shirts, or at least I've picked out pirate t-shirts for you. What TeePublic does is they go out, they work with independent artists, and the artists get a piece of the pie. TeePublic gets a piece of the pie, and I get a piece of the pie when you go buy a t-shirt. And I have put together a spectacular collection of over 100 super cool pirate t-shirts, funny ones, sexy ones, scary ones, and who doesn't need another pirate t-shirt? My drawers are full, and I still need more pirate t-shirts, and you do too. Go check them out. Go to underthecrossbones.com/shirt, and you can see the over 100 super cool pirate t-shirts that I have picked out for you. And if you're not picking up a t-shirt or Captain Willie's Wrestling Tights, and you want to support the show in some other way, come on over to the support page, underthecrossbones.com/support. There's a little PayPal box right there where you can drop a donation in of any amount that you like, maybe the price of a bottle of rum, say. That's a good gauge. There's also an Amazon banner there. If you click that Amazon banner, you pick yourself up something nice from Amazon. Amazon kicks me back a few shekels. That helps keep the old boat afloat. Or if you want to be a sponsor of the show, like TeePublic or Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast, or Pirata Clothing, or any of the other cool sponsors we've had, you can do that. Go to underthecrossbones.com/support. All the information is right there. Okay, let's do this. Let's get in a lock. Let's get in a grapple. Let's get up on the top rope and get into it with Graeme Bucky, a.k.a. the Buccaneer. Here we go. I'm going to blow all of my wrestling knowledge in my first question here. Are you a face or a heel?
I am traditionally a face, but I have done a couple of shows where I've been a heel.
For the people who don't know what I'm talking about, and like I said, that is the extent of my wrestling knowledge, explain the difference between a face and a heel.
So for the most part, because wrestling is largely about storytelling and getting emotions from crowds, you have a good guy and a bad guy. So if I am a face, I am the good guy. So I'm the one that ideally we want the crowd to be excited that I'm overcoming obstacles and difficulties and defeating the villains.
Now, as far as building a brand around your character, how malleable is that back and forth? If you flip over and turn into a heel for a couple of matches, does that hurt your brand?
It can a little, and I find it difficult to be a heel.
Okay.
Very difficult. But given that I'm an independent wrestler, so I work at a lot of different shows, the crowd at one show might not necessarily be the crowd at another show.
Okay.
But you're right, it makes it very hard to run social media promotions when one crowd knows me as the bad guy, one crowd knows me as the good guy. Yeah, gets a little difficult.
Why do you find it hard to play the bad guy?
I think there's that element to pirates, so that as soon as you come through the curtain, the crowd sees a pirate and goes, "Oh, cool, pirate."
Uh-huh.
And then you have to immediately go, no, hate me. I'm a nasty pirate. I'm horrible. So, yeah, that the pop culture portrayal of pirates as it is at the moment makes it very easy for me to just appear and have crowds get very excited that there's a pirate here.
Okay. Let's kind of backtrack a little bit here. How did you get into wrestling in the first place?
Oh, that's an interesting one. As a fan, I was not a fan as a child, which most wrestlers were. I was actually at university studying IT.
Okay.
And a friend of mine said, I'm going to go home and watch Royal Rumble. And I said, I'm not overly interested in coming back to your place and watching some fake garbage. He said, no, come along. You'll love it. It's theatrical. It's exciting. There's sportsmanship and showmanship. And I went, oh, yeah, okay. And so I went along with him, and yeah, I absolutely loved it. I watched that first show, and yeah, I saw the theatrical elements he was talking about, the character work, and the magnificent sportsmanship, and I just fell in love with it from there. And it wasn't until maybe 10 years later that I was doing powerlifting as a weight loss thing, and I thought to myself, once I'm strong enough to squat my own body weight, I can go and learn how to wrestle. Like, that should be a point where I'm strong enough that I can support someone else, and it'll be a fun thing to do. So sure enough, I hit that benchmark that I'd set for myself, and off I went to school.
Where was this school that you went to learn how to do this?
So the school that I went to initially was the AWF training school, which is in Sydney.
Okay.
And that's run by the AWF promotion. And the lead trainer for that is a man named TNT. And I now train up in Newcastle, which is a lot closer to home, at the House of Free Fighting, which is run by Newcastle Pro Wrestling.
Okay. And AWF is the Australasian Wrestling Federation, correct?
That's them.
Okay. See, I did a little research. I know what I'm talking about.
Kudos on getting that pronunciation, Phil.
Australasian?
Yeah. Absolutely nailed it.
There's a lot of the Asian part in my house, so I got that part.
Yeah. On a dating website, I used to click, I'm interested in meeting Australasians.
And I'm going to assume you did not.
I saw Graeme, I swept right, and it didn't work out.
It's a shame. I really feel like it could have.
By the way, Graeme, I love that you were working out to lose weight and thought, ultimately, I could end up throwing men around.
Yep, absolutely. It's just a weight loss thing, and I thought, what a goal could be? Throwing people.
That's awesome.
So when you get into the training for this thing, where do they start with you? I mean, obviously you go in, you go, okay, I've got some strength, and you've seen it, and you know what it looks like and things like that. But what kind of things do they start you on?
Very basics. And to be honest, the training is incredibly hard. I'm still a little impressed with myself that I got through it. There were 16 people that started in my beginner's class, and I think of those 16, only 2 of us went on to actually become wrestlers.
Wow.
But you start with the very basics. It's body control. So you need to be able to control your own body with things like rolls, forward rolls, back rolls, flipping rolls. And then the absolute start of a match is traditionally a lockup, where you grab each other and start to grapple. And we spent a good week or 2 just doing that over and over again.
Okay.
It was a good month before I learned anything that I would be willing to call a move of some kind.
And how long were you in training before you really felt like, okay, I can go into a match now?
Close to a year, about 10 months.
Okay.
I was asked to do a match a good 2 months before that, but I didn't really feel like I was up to it yet.
What was that first match like when you got into the ring?
Terrifying. It was utterly terrifying. But my opponent was great. He was a lot of fun to work with, a really good and experienced wrestler. So all the nerves sort of disappeared once I got up there. And I assume it's probably very similar to comedy. Like, you can have the nerves before you get up there, but as soon as you're up there, your wrestling self takes over, and that's it. It's almost like it's a different guy who comes through the curtain. It's not me, it's the Buccaneer.
Yeah, okay. I get that completely, because I know certainly Nick and I as comedians, we definitely play a character on stage that we are not necessarily off stage. I think Nick's a little closer to his character off stage than I am.
Although I'm finding the longer I do it, the further away from it I am, which is weird.
Yeah.
But Graeme, I think it's great that the first time you were with somebody, they were very experienced. I think that's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was incredibly important for me, and I was able to learn a lot even from just that first match.
So when you go in with somebody who's got more experience than you, I don't know, what kind of planning goes on before the match and things like that? How much of it is thought out, planned out versus improvised in the moment?
There is a lot of improvisation that happens. Early matches you will tend to plan a little bit, but yeah, the longer it goes on, the more you just learn how to just work with other people. So you do what the crowd wants. It's a very reactive form of entertainment. So if the crowd is into something, you might do it and do other things that are similar to it and linked. And if you're in the middle of something you planned and perhaps the crowd doesn't care, then you might discard it and move on to something else. So it's an interesting form of entertainment in that way. The crowd is very much a part of what we do.
Okay. Tell me a little more about that. That's interesting, where you can react to the crowd in the moment. And so you're listening to the energy of the crowd, just like we would as comedians. And
Yep.
How are you able to change up what you're doing in the moment and communicate that to whoever you're in the ring with?
Training. Lots and lots of training. I mean, you can talk a little, but for the most part, through training, you get experience predicting things and knowing what's coming and just generally feeling that improvised flow back and forth. It's a hard one to explain, but it's practice, to be honest.
Is there an eye contact kind of much like musicians would communicate on stage, sort of without words, but just with eye contact and hand movements and things like that?
I'm very lucky in that I do a lot of tag team work.
Okay.
So it's absolutely okay for me to yell something at my tag team partner across the ring. And so if I tell him to do something, then our opponents will know what's coming and to react appropriately. But yeah, it's a tough one. And often it's just, I'm going to throw a punch, so I'm going to throw my hand back like I'm going to throw a punch. My opponent will see that and go, oh, a punch is coming. Okay.
Interesting. Boy, I would really like to see improv comedy troupes try this because they would actually hurt each other, and that would make the world a better place.
That would be good.
So when you started wrestling by yourself, but now you say you do a lot of tag team work. How did that partnership come about?
That was actually an interesting one. While I was still training, I was very set on being a pirate, so doing what we would call in wrestling a pirate gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there was another guy who had started training about 3 months earlier than me at a different school. It was very close, like it was maybe a 15-minute drive away, this other school. And he was already starting to do shows not long after I was, maybe not long after I was training. He was a lot closer to doing shows than I was. And he was doing a pirate gimmick as well. And I thought, is there room here for two pirates? So I actually found him and had a chat at one show and said, look, I know you're already a pirate, but is there room in this scene for two pirates? And he said to me, absolutely, as long as at some point we work together. And then 2 years later, we pitched it to a promoter and said, look, we'd like to work together. And he sort of went, well, there's two pirates. It makes sense for you guys to team up. So, yeah, okay, let's do it. And so, yeah, Caesar and I have been a tag team for 2 years now and been calling ourselves Piracy because it makes sense.
Right.
Graeme, what pulled you towards pirates?
That goes back to my early youth. As I've told people a few times, I was a pirate a long time before I was a pirate wrestler. It wasn't Pirates of the Caribbean, as it is for a lot of people, either the ride or the movies. It was Curse of Monkey Island. Actually, it was The Secret of Monkey Island. It was the first one. I played that game when I was about, would have been 8 or 9, and just fell in love with pirates from there.
Somehow I missed that game. Which platform was that one for?
I had it on PC.
Okay.
And they re-released a version not long ago with updated graphics, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I somehow I know of the game, and I've seen bits of it and stuff, but I somehow I played Pirates, like the early one.
Yes.
That was my game. But yeah, I missed Secret of Monkey Island entirely, and I feel like I should go back and play it now because I don't think I can keep up with the new games that are out there anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. I missed the original Pirates, but I got the remastered version, and that was amazing.
Nice.
Was that the Sid Meier's Pirates?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that was the one. Boy, I am trying to get Sid Meier on this show, and I can't figure out how to get in contact with the guy.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Now, Graeme, I want to clarify one thing. You were at a wrestling school, and there was another wrestling school just a 20-minute drive away.
Yes.
How many wrestling schools are there where you are?
Ooh, I would say 4 or 5 within a 2-hour drive. 6,
Wow.
actually.
Wow.
Hang on. That are currently running, probably about 5. It can be a very fragmented scene at times. So every promotion likes to run their own school and then use their own guys moving up. It's a way that they've been trained in a way that you'll be happy with when they get to shows.
That makes sense.
Each of those schools runs their own events then?
All but one.
Okay.
One of them tends to work on other events.
Tell me then about because you call what you do indie wrestling, right? Because it's not WWE, right?
That's it.
So what does the trajectory look like for indie wrestling? What does moving up look like in that Australian scene?
Well, we're actually very lucky at the moment in that our scene's undergoing a bit of a boom, which is similar to what happened in the United Kingdom maybe about 10 years ago. So the UK scene was pretty much where we were last year, 10 years ago. And they've just become this very exciting independent wrestling scene that eyes are on their guys from all over the world. If you want to be an independent wrestler, that's one of the places you might want to go and work. In Australia at the moment, there's no real full-time opportunities unless you're also a promoter making money off selling the shows to the public as well. So this is all something we do as a weekend bit. And if you want to go full-time at the moment, that would require going to the UK or Japan, Mexico, or the US. There's just not enough shows to support it as a full-time job here yet. But the way it's looking, we might be able to do that within a few years. Like, our scene is very much becoming this interesting and exciting place that people are starting to pay attention to.
Huh. I didn't know Japan had a wrestling scene.
Oh, it is absolutely huge over there.
Really?
Probably the company that is closest on WWE's tail is New Japan Pro Wrestling. They're a very big deal.
I had no clue. Have you ever wrestled in any of those other countries?
I have not. I have yet to even actually go interstate. So I have done all of my wrestling just in the state of New South Wales, but I'm hoping to expand.
Okay, cool.
That Japan has a large wrestling scene, and we didn't know it. Every now and then something comes. I just found out Japan has lowriders, like folks that dress like they don't have Mexicans, but they have a whole Mexican inspired lowrider scene. Japan does that. Like, it would not surprise me if Japan all of a sudden said, what's huge in Japan right now? Banjos. Banjos are huge in Japan.
I could get behind that. I would enjoy. Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's not that far from a Japanese koto, so it could work.
True. All right, fair.
That's true. Similar concept.
Yeah, definitely. And I own a banjo. Maybe I could be big in Japan finally.
Actually, from a height standpoint, you're always going to be big in Japan.
That's true.
Even me. So, Graeme, with the since there's so much like audience interaction and you're responding to what the audience is doing, I mean, as comics, we go out to open mics to try out new material. Is there an analogy to that in the wrestling world?
Very similar. but obviously we wouldn't necessarily phrase it that way. But working at lots of different promotions in front of lots of different crowds and learning what works for one crowd doesn't work for another crowd. So it's less trying new material and it's more experimenting with what you're capable of and what will get different crowds to react.
Okay. Do you keep track at all of the vocabulary, the catalog of moves that you have, and is there, new stuff added to it regularly?
Very much so. I recently tried out a fairly new move on a show 2 weeks ago, and the crowd went absolutely crazy for it. And as soon as I hit it, I went, yep, I'm keeping that. I'll try that a few more times. But that's where training comes in. So you wouldn't want to try something in a ring for the first time in front of a live crowd. You want to actually be at training and doing the moves in a practice environment.
Okay. And then you just take it out and say, what can you describe that move to us that the crowd went nuts for?
It's a move that I would normally do off the middle rope, but I was experimenting with it. I thought, no, I can do this off the top. And it's basically just a splash where I drop onto someone from the top rope. But
okay.
You get up there, give it a moment to sink in. The crowd goes, oh, he's really going to do this off the top. Because I'm not one of the small guys that will regularly go to the top rope. People don't expect it of me. So the times that I do it, it's a big deal. That's my tag partner's job, doing all the flippy bits.
Okay. The flippy bits.
Yeah. He's about half my size.
Yeah, you guys are quite the pair. I saw some of the videos with you guys. Yeah, it's interesting.
Even in terms of the way we're pirates as well, because he's very much a drink everything, steal everything pirate, and I'm very much I want to fight that guy pirate. So I'm more likely to be in a tavern brawl. He's more likely to be in the corner of a tavern having a drink. Okay.
How does that play out in your storylines then?
Beautifully, because it creates a point of friction for us when we need a point of friction. It creates a reason for him to stop drinking if I take his rum bottle off him. In the middle of a match, if he needs saving, that's fine. I'll come in because I enjoy a good fight. I'll happily beat this guy up for you, Caesar, not a problem. And depending on where we are and how they feel about it, sometimes his rum bottle is a source of magic powers for him as well.
The magic rum bottle.
That happens in pubs all across the world.
Exactly. Nothing is stronger than someone who's had too much rum.
It's true.
So tell me a little bit about the story creation process for these matches. How much are you guys doing sort of ongoing stories that move from match to match versus, something that gets tied up all in one event?
Well, obviously, because you don't know if the crowd's going to be back when it's on the indie scene, you want everything to have a reasonable tie-up, but also give them enough to say, oh, next month something else is going to happen, be here for that show as well. So you want them to go home feeling satisfied that they've seen a self-contained element of the story. It's almost like episodic TV in that sense. So that if someone sees this and this is the last bit they see, they can still go, oh, okay, I know what happened there. But on the other hand, you want something to draw them back. So as an example, at our home promotion, which is the one we work most often, Hunter Valley Wrestling, Caesar and I have been having a bit of a disagreement for the last about year. He's been coming out to try and help me in matches when I was having singles matches, and he'd come out drunk, and he'd end up costing me the match, or I'd be too focused on fighting someone to help him out when he was in the ring. And so that sort of came to a head. And then at the last show, we actually had a match against each other.
Oh.
Because I had pulled out our articles of piracy and quite clearly said, if we have a disagreement, it's to be settled in the ring. That's Article 3 of our articles. And so we had that match, and it's honestly one of the matches that I have enjoyed the most and I think is one of my best matches. But without that context of the year before it, why we're fighting, it doesn't make a lot of sense on its own.
So there's a lot of time going into just developing the story before it comes to a head like that then.
Absolutely, yep. And it was something that happened organically. I think the first couple of times we did it, we weren't really sure where we were going with it or what was going to happen. We pitched this idea to the promoter, and he said, "Yeah, okay, let's try that."
It's such an interesting part of the sport because I would love to see like a boxing match, and they're like Manny Pacquiao's drunk brother just got in this ring with him.
It is a quirk that's unique to wrestling.
Yeah.
It's the element of fighting as a team. I don't think there's any combat sports that do that. there's two guys and they're going to swap every so often until someone wins.
Right. UFC's got to try it at some point. I can't imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they got to try that one. So then do you have like story sessions where you're sitting down and plotting out where the story's going to go, or does it happen more kind of in the spur of the moment?
For the most part. So we'll talk between shows, that sort of thing. So Caesar and I had this idea and we bounced it off each other a few times until we refined it and went, oh yeah, that's really awesome. Let's see if we can get the promoter to agree to it. And then we pitched it to the promoter and yeah, okay, we'll do that.
I was looking at your page. I didn't get a chance to look at Caesar's page. Do you guys try to build some back and forth on social media to play into the shows?
I very much do. And videos are a big thing for us as well, because you do get that big gap between shows where people are just sort of alienated from it. So you try and film the occasional bit of video content. An example last year was the Hunter Valley Rumble. Caesar wanted to do a quick video about how he wasn't going to participate. And so we did this long video promo where I was in my gym and I saw a Facebook post that he'd made saying he wasn't going to be in the Rumble. And the Buccaneer lost his mind and started searching for him all over town and eventually found him at a pirate ship playground and went, what do you mean you're not going to be in the Rumble? You need to be in the Rumble. Held up a poster. He covered up the bull and saw rum and went, oh, that's a sign. I'm going to be in the Rumble. And off he went. So you've got to have that kind of video content in between to build up the story, get people excited for a show, let them know what they're going to see, and just remind them that the show exists sometimes.
Yeah, so how much of it is on you to build your brand and draw people to the show? Because we certainly deal with that in entertainment, where there's some shows where it's up to us to bring an audience. And how much of that happens in wrestling?
It depends on the promotion. There are some promotions that will actively go, hey, sell some tickets and then tell me how many tickets you sold. There are others that you can just show up and be on the show if you want. But if you're doing promotions and you're getting people in the door and we can see that your stuff's on social media and you've got a lot of followers and you're telling people the show's on and to come, that looks good in the eyes of a promoter. And it's just as good as being a good wrestler to some people. So that is something that will get you towards the top of the card in places, over someone who might be a little bit better than you but isn't putting in that extra work on their social media to draw people to a show.
I see.
It's such an interesting balance in the comedy world that is such a huge at the level where we aren't a household name at all. Mm-hmm. There's some people that know us, but for the most part, what we can do is we try to build some following on social media and we try to build our ability as an artist. But you go to some shows and it's just amazing. You see somebody that maybe they're great at social media, but they're not good comics. And it's hard. It's hard to know how to feel about that.
Yeah. And it's very much the same with wrestling. I mean, I try and balance both. My goal isn't necessarily to get to the WWE because I'm way too old and way too inexperienced for that. But it's to keep getting better as a wrestler. And so I'm trying to keep getting better as a wrestler while also build that drawing power and get people into shows. I don't want to end up sort of stagnating to the point where my ability in ring starts to slide and I am just that guy who, yeah, he gets people in because he works social media, but he can't actually wrestle.
The YouTube star of the comedy club scene. That's what we're dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah. We have the same guys. Actually, every time I'm listening to Under the Crossbones, it does make me think about how similar comedy and wrestling really is. Because often I'll be listening to it while I'm driving halfway across the state for a wrestling show and just have my podcasts on.
Uh-huh.
And you'll be talking about listening to podcasts while driving to a comedy gig, and I just go, yep, I can relate to that.
Yeah, they're very much the same. That is so interesting. How many gigs are you doing? How many shows are you doing? Because, I mean, for like, if you look at the average boxer, they're boxing twice a year, maybe. But you are probably doing way more than that. So how many events are you doing in, say, a month?
I'm in a groove where I'm trying to do about 2 a month. So I've got a few different shows that I work for, and most will run once a month. So between all of them, depending on bookings, 2 or 3 times a month is fairly average for me.
Okay.
Some of the guys will be working every weekend, though. The guys who really want to make this a career are out getting that experience constantly, at least every weekend, sometimes 2-3 times a weekend.
And there's that many of shows available to be had there, huh?
Yep, there are.
Wow.
I was at a show just last night. As a fan, I
Easy.
didn't actually wrestle last night. I was standing up the back as a good crowd member.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Got to go see what the other guys are doing. We do
Exactly.
the same thing. Yeah.
Support the boys and the girls.
Nice. Very cool. Well, Graeme, where is a good place online for everybody to keep track of what you're doing and find out more?
All of my social medias, I actually got lucky enough to get Fire a Broadside on all of them because the Broadside Power Slam is my finishing move.
Okay.
So on Facebook, I am Fire a Broadside, Instagram, Fire a Broadside, and Twitter is Fire a Broadside. And if by some lucky chance you happen to be an Australian listener who's in the region of the Hunter Valley, I will actually be at Hunter Valley Wrestling on the 23rd and 24th of March, if this show is up by then.
Cool. I think it may actually be, yes.
Excellent.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Is there anything that we forgot to ask about or talk about that you want everybody to know?
No, I think that's pretty much it. That covers everything that I would have suggested.
Great meeting you, Graeme.
You too.
Yeah, this was great. I appreciate your time and your time for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
And there it is, friends. That is my talk with Graeme Bucky, a.k.a. the Buccaneer. If you would like to find out more about what he is up to, go to facebook.com/fireabroadside. He's also that Fire Broadside on Twitter and Instagram. You can find him over there, too. And if you want to find out what Nick Hoffman is doing, where he's going to be telling jokes and stuff, find him at Nick Hoffman Entertainment on Facebook. The Facebook. He's there. Everybody's there. We're all there. Under the Crossbones is on there. Phil Johnson Comedy is on there. Everybody is on the Facebook except for the people who aren't. Also, there's going to be a video in the show notes for this episode at underthecrossbones.com/182. A video of what Graeme tells me is the piratiest match to ever pirate. It is the Buccaneer and Caesar. That's his tag team versus VIP in a rum on a pole match. The winner is the team who can retrieve the bottle of rum that hangs above the ring on the top of a pole. How can you not want to watch that? I mean, seriously. So the video for that will be in the show notes under thecrossbones.com/182. And also, if you're going to be in Australia, in Graeme's neck of the woods, this coming weekend, which means you probably already have to be there. You're not going to get there if you're from somewhere else probably yet. But he's doing a 2-night show at the Hunter Valley Wrestling. He's doing a 2-night show at Hunter Valley Wrestling at Club Maitland City on March 23rd and 24th, featuring James Storm. Tickets for that are just $20. Sounds like a great evening. And if you're in the area, go check it out. And if you're not in the area, go find an indie wrestling show in your area. Apparently, there's a lot of these happening around here. I don't know where they are here in the Bay Area, but I guarantee there are some, and I think I'm going to go find some because my girlfriend and I, we like to go, hey, we've never been to that kind of thing before, and then go to that thing. So we're probably going to go find some indie wrestling to check out. We did roller derby a while back. That was fun for 20 minutes or so, and then got a little tedious, but it was good. It was good. So what did you learn? Did you learn something? Did you have something you wanted to chime in on, add your 2 cents to in the conversation? Come join us over on the Facebook page, like we talked about, facebook.com/underthecrossbones. There'll be a thread there for this episode, and you can chime in with your 2 doubloons, your 3 paces of 8, your 4 quarters of whatever you'd like to tell us about. And of course, show notes for this, underthecrossbones.com/182. We're sponsored today by Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast, WKKC-DB, playing the best music of today's hits and yesterday's classics. And Pirate Radio Talk, playing the best pirate shows, including Under the Crossbones, 24/7, all commercial free. To listen, go to pirateradiothetreasurecoast.com or pick up the Pirate Radio WKKC-DB app in your favorite app store. That is the music station. For the talk station, go to pirateradiotc.com or pick up the Pirate Radio Talk app, and that is the talk station. You can also bring it up on Alexa or Google, whatever your Google thing is, or the OK Google. I don't remember what they call that exactly. On Alexa or the OK Google. Just ask it to play Under the Crossbones or play Pirate Radio, The Treasure Coast for you, and it will do that. Because it's nice. It wants to please you. All brought to you by iTreasure Radio, the very best digital media from independently owned stations at iTreasureradio.com. That's our show for today. Thank you once again for tuning in. I absolutely appreciate it every single time. To find out more about Graeme Bucky and his wrestling stuff, the wrestling that's going on in Australia, go to facebook.com/fireabroadside. You can also find him under that name at Twitter and on Instagram. Nick Hoffman, my co-host today, he's at facebook.com/Nick Hoffman Entertainment, and you should go see what he's doing too. He's down in Ventura, California now, doing the good jokes down there. And of course, you can go visit philjohnsоncomedy.com if you want to find out where I'll be touring or pick up any of my albums or DVDs, comedy special downloads, or anything that is there. philjohnsоncomedy.com. Coming up next week, we're going to talk to Zachary Starks of the Lady Washington. Now, you West Coast pirates are probably familiar with the Lady Washington. It is that ship that sails up and down the West Coast and makes port and allows you to go on it and sail around and take a tour and all that kind of stuff. If you're not familiar with it, you have seen it in Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl, where it was the HMS something or other that I can't remember the name of right now. It was also in Once Upon a Time. It was Captain Hook's Jolly Roger in that TV show, and a whole bunch of other things. So we're going to talk to Zachary Starks, who's affiliated with the Lady Washington and is their programs coordinator over there. That's coming up next week. And the week after that, we're going to talk with Brad Lee Howard of the Pirates Royale. How long have we been waiting for that interview on this show, right? The Pirates Royale, they've been together since 86, 1786. Pretty sure that's how long the Pirates Royale have been at the pirate festivals playing the pirate music. So we're going to talk with Brad Lee Howard in a couple weeks, and it's going to be great. If you have any suggestions for guests on the show or anything else you would like to suggest to me, you can hit me up, phil@underthecrossbones.com, and I will get back to you, and we'll talk about it and make it happen. All right? That's our show. Thank you again for tuning in. I'll see you next week.